Call the Ron and Fez Show at 866-277-4969. You've only got one chance. Well, really lots of chances. Actually, as many times as you want. But call them.
Wow, our bumpers are bad. Literally worse than American Idol. They know how to ask for phone calls. We should have Sid begging with a 4, like they always beg on American Idol. 4.
Just they turn their sides to the head and just hold up their fingers, hoping that'll work.
Very embarrassing. When is the American Idol tour, Fez?
The American Idol tour, I think it starts in a couple weeks. So it's 52 dates over the summer. I don't know how they pulled that off. Must be some matinees.
52 dates for these kids that none of them have done a professional gig until the other night when they all dressed up in yellow and white and did a medley. Heaven knows. Wow, is that painful to watch?
Yeah, they actually dressed up like the Brady Bunch kids.
That's a very good metaphor because, like, yes, they're wearing the same thing, but not exactly when you look close.
Someone gets a vest, someone else gets a jacket. It's sort of like that.
I can't imagine that this show is going to be any good, but I hear these shows sell out for the American Idol fans.
Yeah, they definitely sell out, so I guess it's going to be like a few big numbers like that with everybody on stage, and then people get a chance to do a song or two by themselves.
All right, grab Sideshow. Sideshow is a songwriter. Perry, of course, also songwriter, performer. Both these guys try very hard to break into the business. Perry, how long you been working at The Rock? How long you been working at the music?
Oh, years.
And you write your own stuff, you do production.
Yeah, I don't let a lot of it get heard. I quit trying to turn people into it, you know.
You just
do it for personal.
You just say, in the old days, you used to think, if I could get this heard, I'll get some more. Sideshow, what about you? You write a lot too, right?
Music, yes I do.
What is it like for you guys to see a show like American Idol where kids who don't really write, they're not musicians, and yet, you know, we're probably going to have a #1 record from the girl who won.
Right.
And these kids, 10 of them, are doing a tour. By the way, it's kind of mean that they only pick the top 10 when it's top 12. Everybody gets to go but the Slavic girl and the big kid. But what is it like for you guys to just see them selling out arenas and kind of living this dream thing on really a big marketing ploy? Does that drive you crazy?
It pisses me off to no end, and everyone's getting brainwashed with all this crap.
30-some million people watch it, right. And they vote, and they go crazy, and they argue. I mean, from a marketing point of view, you got to admit, it's brilliant for, you know, all the Simons that came up for this. But it's got to drive you guys crazy to think, how does an original voice? I mean, here's just another opportunity.
There are 2 karaoke singers, you know, and I'm at home right now TiVoing both of them on Larry King. They're karaoke. They're glorified karaoke singers. They don't write their own lyrics. They're puppets. But, you know, that's what's making the money. So as long as people are, you know, silly enough to go out and actually buy the stuff, it's just going to get worse.
So what you really need is a hook. That's what he's telling you. You need some kind of a wacky hook.
I'm just curious why they can't have a show with a bunch of guitar players. Why can't they have an American Idol like that? Don't you think everybody would watch that? Coming up with their own creative material? I don't know. I think that'd be more interesting.
Like original music idol.
Yes.
Well, I dig Making the Band on MTV, the Puff Daddy one. That one.
But again, he was very mean to those kids for not. You get broke in there for not being a good cog in the machine. Anybody who goes, wait a minute, I don't like what's going on here, they literally get screamed at. And even the first Making the Band was the same way. When anyone said, I'm not sure if I want to do this, they're like, you're out. And then they broke the people, they made them cry, and then put them back in.
Yeah, I mean, the odd thing with that first Making the Band is even when they were done and had their 5, the band, they still got rid of a kid after that and brought in a ringer. They brought in a pro to fill it out.
All right, here's an interesting instant feedback from a guy named Fez is Straight. He says, Captain Sponge Tongue has his own radio show in a top 5 market, and you're bitching about American Idol contestants. Yes, we're not saying that life is fair. That's a very good point, Fez is Straight. Which, by the way, what an ironic name. Just unbelievable.
I like it.
When you make a turn like that. Yeah, we're not saying that life is fair, but, I mean, these are guaranteed hit albums over and over and over, and this has got to be the toughest business to break into.
If you look at just the summer tour that's going to sell out, Clay Aiken is going to start doing stadiums by himself.
That's unbelievable.
And not stadiums.
No. He said stadiums.
You're kidding.
Clay Aiken said stadiums when the last time he was on Idol.
Stadiums like RFK and that size.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I had no idea. So this tour with these kids, these unknown kids 3 months ago, was an arena tour, right? They're playing 8, 10, 12,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Plus, they put out a CD from this season, like the American Idol Salute to Soul or something, or Motown, something like that,
right.
Yeah.
where it's those 10 or 12 kids all doing Motown hits.
And they go and tour together, too.
Right. So, I mean, that's a bunch of stuff just for this summer before it all starts over again.
I think that's
before Fantasia's album comes out.
It's sick. I think that's why Nirvana broke so big, because they weren't doing that. You know, they went against it. But now even alternative is mainstream and machine.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing different going on out there. Nothing.
But
Everybody's
is it because the people don't want it? I mean, you know that, let's say what happened with Nirvana. It was kind of an interesting thing. Nirvana went out. They had a different sound, a grunge sound. What did the record companies do? What did the radio stations do? Give me more bands that sound like Nirvana right away. So they will do whatever the people want. It's the people that apparently want this kind of stupid type of entertainment.
I'm not saying they don't have talent. They got great vocals, man. But
some of them.
It's karaoke singing. I mean, just glorified karaoke.
Look at the crowd alone that showed up in Los Angeles just outside that last night of Idol. Like it was the Oscars.
And to me, the weirdest thing was seeing, like, TV stars showing up to cheer like they fell for it.
I think they were paid. I can't believe that a real talented person would actually go to that and enjoy themselves. I just can't see.
All right, this was interesting. Did you see, I guess it was last night or whatever, Fantasia did the Jay Leno show with Kate Hudson, who's married to a legitimate rock star. Kate Hudson's falling all over. Me and Chris, we watch every night. We were pulling for you the whole time. I mean, literally, her husband was in a real rock and roll band where him and his brother act like rock stars, wrote their own stuff, and there they are cheering along like everybody else.
He's a paralyzed pothead chimp now. He'll just sit in front of anything.
Okay, now, but the point is this. It is mainstream across the board. Every year it gets less and less of people going, hey, this is odd. And soon it'll be just absolutely accept it as this is the way to get into the music business. Because if this girl has a hit album, you're going to look at 4 people now who had hit albums. Name 4 new artists over the last, it's less than 2 years or about 2 years that came out that weren't connected. It's a pretty rare thing to break in music, let alone to get a #1 album.
And it's a rare thing to say that Britney Spears actually paid her dues now compared to these people. I mean,
yeah, she put in the Mouseketeer time.
You know, no, I'm saying compared to these people, I mean, these people just actually had to do one thing, get on American Idol, and that was it.
I think her European tour just got canceled. Wasn't selling tickets.
And that also happened with Christina. And I think it's like, well, a pop star's life is really short, and always has been. You know, you only get, like a Frankie Avalon back in the early 60s, only got, like, you know, a couple years, and then he went into his stupid movies or whatever. Kevin, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies. Clay Aiken is actually singing at the NASCAR June 6th Dover race, and Todd Rundgren's new album is fantastic.
You know what? There's another thing. Todd Rundgren's been amazing producer, singer, songwriter for like 30-some years. And I guarantee you, he could have walked through that arena the other night. Nobody would have known him. The guy's literally a genius. And people would have said, shh, be quiet. The little girl from Hawaii is about to sing. Sit down. That's the weird thing about this country.
Sad.
That's what you wonder when those kids are sitting there and Donna Summer walks in. Do they even know her? Do they have to be told who she is?
Yeah, I mean, even Barry Manilow, they had no idea. These kids are 16 to 19 years old. So, I mean, I think they bring in those other stars, 1, to legitimize these kids, 2, because it's a really weird audience of, like, little kids and middle-aged people watching the show. Well, I mean, there's never really been a family show like this in a long, long time.
And I would definitely rather sit there and watch those kids sing Elton John songs than watch someone like Tamira Gray sing something that she's written herself. I'd rather hear songs that I know coming out of these kids.
Well, that's the exact thing that these guys are bitching about. That why do you want to hear another song, Fez, that you know by somebody done better? I mean, that medley the other night stunk on ice. Why are people going crazy when little white kids are singing Motown songs worse than they were the first time? You're saying you'd rather have that?
I'd rather have that, yeah.
Well, where do you get new music from?
New music? If something was on that show...
No, I mean, in life, you're not having places for new music. Like in the light rock stations now, they tell people... Here's the songs that track well that we have by the Bee Gees or whatever. Mm-hmm. Go out and remake them. And if you remake them and give us a good version, we'll play you. I mean, there's not a lot of places to break anymore.
That's the job I'd like right now. I'd like to actually go out and find new bands and new artists.
You want to be an A&R guy.
Absolutely. I think that's where it's at. And that's where most critics and all these people are failed musicians anyway. So.
But how many A&R guys even find new bands? That's got to be frustrating. You've got to spend...
This area alone, though, man. D.C. has some amazing artists that nobody ever hears. I mean, it's just so frustrating because they work so hard. I mean, there's bands out there that are playing 7 nights a week, you know, every dime they get's going into their gas tank just to get up there.
Right, I know that. I agree with you. But people, if they're not heard, if they're not on TV, if they're not on the radio, you can't expect people like Fez who goes, I want something that I know. I want something I know. You've got to say to yourself, I know, it's the same thing I tell you about chain restaurants, Fez. Right. I know you know what a Big Mac is, but you need to go out and try some Pakistani food and try something a little bit different.
Well, what I was going to say is I think that the reason it appeals to so many people about the American Idol thing is because of what Fezzy said. You already recognize the songs, so people at home can feel like, I can get up there and sing just as good as she can, and it gets people more into it, like karaoke. I mean,
apparently at least 70,000 people literally think they're the American Idol. 70,000 people show up going, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the next person that should be a star.
I'll be on the next one.
Honora, you're on Ron and Fez. You ought to, Perry.
Going out there.
Yeah.
Hey, Honora, go ahead.
I don't know where to start. He always drives me crazy, but, you know, I used to sing in folk houses when I was a lot younger.
All right, who's driving you crazy?
Perry Noid.
Okay, go ahead.
And yeah, I wrote my own stuff, and it was crap. You know, just because you write your own stuff doesn't mean it's any good. Frank Sinatra was a karaoke singer. Elvis Presley was a karaoke singer. There's a lot of great singers and a lot of great music that don't write their own stuff.
I agree with that.
But, you
and
know,
I've heard him, and he sounds like Bill Murray's less talented brother.
All right, now here's the interesting thing, though. There is only, like, a few people out there who can write hit songs. There's not a huge amount of people.
But they're still good to listen to. You know, Arlo Guthrie doesn't write a lot of hit songs, but they're good to listen to.
Well, Arlo Guthrie's not, Arlo Guthrie's not an American Idol. He's
but what I'm saying is...
people wouldn't know Arlo Guthrie.
I'm saying Perry Noid is just jealous.
No, you know what? I have dozens and dozens of CDs. I don't let people hear the stuff. I do it because unlike these people who want fame and all that, I gave that dream up long ago. I write to get off of my own stuff.
You know what I think's going to happen?
If you coulda, you woulda. You don't give up a dream like that. Believe me, I know. You just don't succeed at it. That's
no. I mean, if you want to be known for singing other people's songs and you have the talent to do that and you can pull it off, go for it. Well, I prefer to do something that's going to move me. I don't really care if it moves you or anyone else.
But I mean that's fine as far as your own, musical development and enjoyment goes. But that's not what this is about.
Here's what I love:
something that other people will enjoy listening to on TV.
All right, thank you very much. This is very interesting about music. Is like it's the only art form that they really like to see things get redone over and over and over again. Like there will never be something where come up and do Bill Cosby's old routines. You know what I mean? No one ever wants to see 18-year-old people doing Jack Benny bits. But there is something about music, and I think it's because to that audience, unlike Fez, who knows that stuff from his youth, to 16 and 17-year-old kids, they're hearing the Motown songs for probably the first time in their life. to them, most of this stuff, like when Clay Aiken sang Bridge Over Troubled Water, if you're a 15-year-old girl, that's the first time you've ever heard the song.
I have some part-timers at my store that are teenagers, and they out and out told me anything before 1980 is old music to them, and they don't know it.
Yeah, I mean,
unfamiliar.
Yeah, well, why should they be? I mean, they don't know books. They don't know anything from any other times.
Nat King Cole was before my time, but I made the effort of learning music history and listening to all different music.
Not so far before, got it.
But don't you think that's rare? I think that's fairly rare. Not for people as... I think everybody, as they move into a certain age, go, you know what? This Tony Bennett's not so bad. I don't know what it is, but you hit 30 and you're out to dinner and you're starting to think this music doesn't bother me, like when I was a kid. But when you're a kid, I really do think you want new music.
Well, I've been downloading Al Jolson, actually, and that sounds like nothing I've ever heard before. I mean, so if you to get something new, you almost got to go way back and get stuff that you've never heard. Like, I've always heard the name, but till I started downloading his music, thank God for the Internet, I just was turned on to, like, it's amazing, amazing stuff.
Oh, I agree with you 100% there. There's a lot of people.
But yeah, I guess Sour Grapes are involved.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of musicians out there ticked off.
I go through a real crazy Nina Simone thing every once in a while. I don't even know when her era was or where she played. All right, we're going to take a break. Bad news, Polo's next.
Oh, okay.
With his reviews, and this is what Simon had to say about Polo.
Paul's really great. Paul's great.
There you go. We'll be right back. It's the Ron and Fez Show.